Do you know the difference between trying to convince someone and trying to sell something to someone? My name is Huang. Let's discuss that because I didn't know the difference when I first started my therapy clinic. My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and over 10 years ago, I started Hands on Therapy Services. It's my clinic in Miami. And over 5 years ago, I started Hand Therapy Secrets to help therapists develop their clinical skills, help them become a certified hand therapist. And lo and behold, if you're there and you want to start your business, let's talk about that because what we have to do as service providers, right? We provide a service, which just happen to be therapy for people who need us. Now, do you want to sit here and convince people that they should come to you, or do you want to sell them your services? There's a big difference between the two, and one's going to be so much easier than the other. Now, it's something that I do and I train my staff all the time. My therapist, my front desk, my manager, like the works. I am not here to convince anybody. Just like you, I am not here to convince you anything. You're here on your own accord to listen because there's something about what I'm about to say and share with you can make sense, right? And that can somehow help you with whatever your problems are, right? So when it comes to therapy, it's something like as soon as I hear the word convince, so in your brain, if you're alone, if you say, oh, I just want to convince them, like, don't do it. You have to recognize that as a trigger of a problem that you are working uphill, like you are swimming against the grain. So the biggest difference between convincing and essentially selling is one is like, I'm going to try and pull you towards me, like, come and listen. This is what I have. This is what I have to offer. And I'm really great. I used to do this all the time. I'd be on the phone. Well, and it's so hard to say, like, I'm the best of something. Like, you sound just conceited, right? So I had a really hard time saying I'm the best hand therapist in my area. So I'd be like, I'm really great. So embarrassing how I think back to what I used to say. Unfortunately, I don't take your insurance, but I'm really great. I have so much experience in this. Well, the problem is so do a lot of people, right? So do a lot of people, and that's not neither here nor there. So I would be on the phone trying to convince someone like this, you don't need to take it, you don't need to use this, you don't need to use insurance. I can help you. I'm the best at this. I know what I'm doing. I'm a certified hand therapist. I have X number of years of experience. So when you find yourself having those types of conversations or those types of thoughts where you are just constantly speaking, like trying to justify why they should come to you, just remember that you are trying to pull them to you, right? And that's so much harder. Pulling so much harder than pushing, right? So selling is like pushing. Selling is pushing. So selling is more, if I can explain it, it's like it's not just the education part. So the education part is your marketing part. So as you market more, and I have tons of videos on marketing, but the marketing is what brings them into your business, right? The marketing is what brings them to call your office. So I've been recently getting a lot of people watching my YouTube video and calling because they've watched my YouTube video, and so now they have questions, right? That's marketing. I have educated them during my marketing, and they're really interested to learn more about my services and how my company can help them with X problem. Your marketing is whatever stuff you have on Google. So I've been doing a lot of work on my Google presence, and so just having, whether it's I do organic and I do paid, so then I show up at the top of the list for whatever they're looking for, and then they'll say like, oh, I did a search for this and your information came up. Great, right? So selling is, so tell me what you saw, what enticed you, right? Just learning more about what, one, brought them in, two, what's their problem. So every time you're asking the question, they're having to answer. So you essentially think about, you get to push people away. You get to be like, do I help this problem? Okay, yes, I do. Okay, come back, right? Do you, what do you want to use? Right? Oh, I can help you. If you're open to it, I can pull you back, right? So at first I'm pushing, and then I'm pulling. So it's a push-pull relationship when it comes to selling. Selling is more like at the end, once they've already done all that marketing, like that attracted them to you, and then you start having this conversation with them. So for example, I got a guy, he came to my workshop. Had him come to my workshop, had lots of questions, was really interested in learning about what I had to say, and I was talking about hand injuries. Not just hand injuries, but I was talking about very specifically hand pain, hand arthritis, trigger finger, and I was explaining, yes, these are the things, if you have this and you have this and these are the things you're doing. If you're doing all of these things and it's not working, it's because that's not truly the problem, right? Somebody's telling you something, but the root cause is somewhere else. Now, I could help with that. Because I'm really good at getting to the root cause. And let me explain to you what the root cause actually really means. Because if I only look at your hand, I'm missing a huge component in terms of who you are, how you live, what you do. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So he booked a free discovery visit. I do like consultations essentially. So he came in and he was, he had more questions and he wanted to share. He had more things that he wanted to share. He didn't necessarily have questions. He just wanted to share who he was, like as a person, what he's done, what he's tried, what has worked. And I listened to the whole thing. And I was like, yep, based on what you're saying, I could help you, right? What are you looking for? I mean, outside of like, I want my hands to not hurt, what are you looking to be able to do? And that gets into what they really want. So it kind of turned out that because of his hands, he's not as strong. If you see this guy, he looks big and strong, and you could get him to carry stuff, crank open anything. But technically speaking, he can't do it anymore because his hands are shot. Like, I can help you with that. I can help you based on your profession, based on this, based on that. I can help you. Absolutely. So I am not sitting across from him convincing him that he needs to come work with me. I'm just like having him convince himself, right? Not even having him sell himself on booking an appointment with me. So after listening and after talking, so it's that pull-push relationship. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate for him to be like, come, I know I can help you, give me a chance. And that's the biggest difference between convincing and selling. I get him to sell himself to me. Like, I'm like, yes, I do this. Like, if you want to know what's wrong with your hand and how to fix that, I can help you. Obviously, you're too young to feel old. You're too young to have poor grip strength. And I can see that you don't have good grip strength because you've lost some motion. If you want to get that fixed, I can do that. And we'll work and we'll do a whole comprehensive evaluation to figure out what's going on, and then how often or how much you need depends on what you're willing to do, right? I get the best possible results for people when they're committed to coming, when they're committed to doing the thing. And he's like, oh, well, being really inconsistent. So it's not that he didn't believe. Here's the thing, now that I'm talking about it. It's not that he didn't believe that I could help him, because I think he was very, very impressed with what we've already done. And he trusts that I could help him, because why would he come back for a free discovery visit after having already been in my clinic before? I think where he was really worried about was that he's like, well, I'm not really consistent with doing X, Y, and Z. And I was like, what were you doing? Oh, I used to do heavy lifting, and then I was doing yoga, and then I was doing this. And so he kind of was like bouncing. I was self-stretching. He was kind of like bouncing from thing to thing, trying to figure it out. And I was like, that's what it is. He doesn't feel that he's going to be consistent if he were to start to invest in himself. And I told him, I said, you'd be consistent if you felt that it helped. Like, if you're stretching and you're stretching and you're stretching and it doesn't help you, how likely are you to continue stretching? You won't. But if you stretch in a direction or in a way or a position that helps kind of alleviate all of the problems a little bit, I'm not trying to say that I'm not a one-time girl, right? I'm not like somebody like, oh, you just come one time and I'll fix you like this. There's no way. Not if you have decades of problems, right? When someone tells me they have 5 years of problems, tack on another 5 years, right? So I'm not going to be egotistical to think I can fix you in one visit. I'm not. But here's what I will say, that when you find the thing that actually helps to solve your problem, you're gonna feel like you can consistently do it. The other thing is, like, once you fix your problem, you're not gonna need to feel like you have to do it all the time, right? Fix a problem and you don't have to do all. Fix a problem and you don't have to stretch all the time. Fix a problem and when you do yoga, you can actually do yoga. Fix the problem and you can actually weightlift and not feel like you're busting your shoulders and busting your knees, right? So when he came in and having that type of conversation, having a very honest conversation, a very confident, like, you have to be confident about it, right? This is something that I work with my staff on all the time, my therapist, my front desk, my manager, because it's just not what you say, it's going to be how you say it. And that takes practice. It really takes practice. I used to not be able to speak so confidently. The thing is like, I was always confident about myself. I just wasn't confident about my selling skills, right? And selling skills really just practice and really having a script. So I've developed that inside my OT Business Corner program. I have a script. I have a kind of like a format, if you say, a framework, if you would say, on the 5 things that you kind of touch upon. So I'm talking to the guy and I was like, I see you're afraid that you're not going to do the thing. But I promise you, if you find out the thing and you feel good, you're going to do the thing, right? That's not going to be a problem. You'll feel that there's some improvement. And then what I can do is I can teach you what they are. Once I find the problems, once I find the solution, I'll teach you, I'll show you everything. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hide it. And you're going to learn what to do. And then, we'll do it together, right? He's like, let's go. Let's book an appointment, right? So the selling is that push-pull. He's doing a lot of talking. He's sharing a lot of his stories. And the selling is I get to ask the right questions. And it's in having the right questions asked that then he's selling himself on, like, yeah, I need this. I definitely need this. I definitely need these services with Huang. And it's so much easier than trying to convince someone who came right after him, came in with a hand injury, still with incisions, and he didn't know anything about me. He kind of found me recently. I always say the easy come, easy go. So he came in easily, no problems. It was kind of a last minute consultation, came in, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm desperate. I just found you. And like, I'm like, you need therapy, like, for sure, 100%. Like, I'm talking to him, I'm looking at his, I was like, wow, I'm surprised. So I'm asking questions as well. But he came across like he wanted me to sit there and convince him. And I'm like, I won't do that. I'm like, I'm convinced you need therapy. You need to decide whether you want to come here or not. Here are my prices, and here's how I work. And if you need me, here are 2 options that I provide, right? I know you need therapy. You know you need therapy. You need the correct therapy. So I'm like, if you don't come here, just make sure you're finding it's a tendon. It doesn't always have to be a certified hand therapist, but like, he had a complex tendon injury in this second surgery, right? So I'm like, you probably want to go somewhere that they specialize in hands, so you're not wasting your time, because now we're fighting against time. We're 4 weeks post-op with having done nothing, right? So he thought I was going to sit there and convince him. And I was kind of like, no, thank you. I'm like, okay, well, if you have, these are your questions about your insurance, and we're an out-of-network provider, and, here's our prices, and this is how we work, and this is how insurance works, and I'm happy to help you. How would you like me to help you, right? Would you like to book an appointment? Because that's all I can do, right? I can't provide free therapy, right? I'll be out of business. I'll be out of business, right? So I was like, if you can't book an appointment or don't want to book an appointment, that's okay. I have really great videos on my YouTube channel. So I'm happy. And he's like, oh, well, you you can get a degree from the University of, YouTube. And I'm like, sure, you can, but my videos are pretty good. Like, check them out if you want. If you don't want to, that's okay. And he's like, oh, I just need someone who, like, can massage your hand. I'm like, I know you definitely need that. So you have to decide. You have to make a decision. Do you want me to help you, or how do you want to proceed, right? It's like, oh, well, let me call a couple places. Great, no problem. I'm pushing him away. You're not right for my clinic. Can I help you? Absolutely. But I help people who are willing to make a commitment to that process. So anyway, that is the difference between convincing, right, and selling. And I train my staff all the time. Once you start having the idea that you're trying to convince him and trying to convince it, and I catch my staff in 2 seconds. They start talking to me and they use that word. I'm like, stop right there. Stop right there, right? You got to switch that mindset around, because the minute you start doing that, you're pretty much failing. Sorry, I know it sounds harsh, but that's the truth of it. So we are going to, in the OT Business Corner program, we're going to start to do a live session in December. So if you're interested in coming in because you're growing your business, you want to continue to get more cash patients, whatever it is, marketing, selling is going to be my 2 big major topics that we're going to work on together inside the program. If you have questions, then the link's below to find out more details, but you can always send me an email and find out if you're right for the program or not. All right, I look forward to talking to you or seeing you on the next video. Thanks.